Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another week of the URC. This one, Benetton going head-to-head up against the Lions, a side that have been struggling a little bit for the early stages of the season. Looking through at the table, they are currently sitting in 13th, but a win here away from home put them right in that top direction. But looking through the Stormers, they have had a dream start to the way that their campaign has begun. Also, Munster sitting 3 wins from 3. Got a few more exciting games today, including the Bulls going head-to-head with Ulster, as well as the Sharks in their match up against Leinster as well. But looking through at this Benetton lineup, it is going to be Spagnuolo in the front row alongside Saula Mai and also Simeone Ferrari as the man slotting in as tight head prop. Canoni alongside Sneyman in the locking duo with Ezecourt at 6, Mikel Lamaro as the 7, and then Lorenzo Canoni slotting in as that number 8. We're Chon starting at 9 with Jacob Umanga in that 10 jersey. He is a skilled fly half. I do think that him versus Chris Smith is going to be an interesting battle here because Smith, he enjoys that kicking side of things, whereas Jacob Umanga much more likely to run that ball. So I do think it will be a great clash of styles for this matchup. Malakai Fekatoa, the Tongan international, in the midfield alongside Manoncello at 13, and Ashio Mendy, Lewis Liner, and then also Reno Smith as that number 15. Looking through at the Lions side, they've got a couple changes compared to what we did see in their loss last week up against Zebra, but in the front row it is SJ Kutsia alongside Marias, and Klabakanye moves into the starting side rather than making his way off the bench. Ustaisen and Delport in the locking duo with JC Pretorius back in that number 6 jersey, Ruan Fenta at 7, and Frankie Horn slots in as the number 8. Morne Vandenberg back into the starting side here. He is a dangerous player. We've seen him for the Box only very smallly throughout this year, but Chris Smith, he partners with him in that 9 jersey. And then also Richard Krill, Henko van Veek in the midfield, Angelo Davids, Edwin Keita, and Kuan Horn as that number 15. Now, I will mention last week, I think that the Lions got their tactics wrong up against Zebra. They were going too much for those kicks downfield, and Zebra were absolutely loving it. They do enjoy a kicking battle. So I feel like up against Benetton, it's a little bit trickier because, you know, they will engage in a kicking battle, but they have got so many dangerous ball runners as well. So this could be a very intriguing kind of matchup, but this will be a tough game for the Lions. They come in as big underdogs for this match. As you can see there, Benetton, that $1.19, but 2 more matches round the corner, including the Stormers at home for Benetton. So some crucial points to be gained there. The Stormers currently sitting 3 from 3. And their current standings for the Lions, they have got the Scarlets next week and then Ulster the week after, but they are 2 home games, so much needed here for the Lions. They do sit currently with the 0 from 2 in their first 2 rounds. We have got there in the chat, here with you again, as always, cheers, says Roden. It is greatly appreciated you popping in for this match. Afternoon, everyone. Hey, Hamish, says Jimbo, welcome in. And how's it, Hamish? Hope you're well, says Anthony. It's been a busy 24 hours or so. Some of you guys may be wondering why I didn't end up doing Stormers versus the Scarlets. And the reason behind that, first of all, massive win for the Stormers. They had a tremendous game there. But the reason for it was because I was helping coach kids cricket, and then I was actually playing cricket, which is why I look maybe a little bit more red than I normally would be. It was extremely hot, and I think I may have got sunburnt even with sunscreen. So not ideal. But yeah, it's been a busy day. We have got the Hoy H, and hi Hamish, you are the best, mate. Says Colin, it is greatly appreciated you being here this week again. Colin, we have got hi Hamish, says Purple Dragon, and also we have got the afternoon Hamish. Were you doing cricket? I was indeed, yes. Although it could be argued I wasn't doing a lot of cricket because I didn't get to bowl, I didn't get to bat, but we did win. So, like, I guess it's better than doing both and us losing, but we ended up winning that game quite nicely. We have got their lovely kids Saturday. Says Ruth, yeah, nice early morning start, and it did overlap with the game of the URC, and I was tempted to try and look at it every once in a while, but I was also umpiring as well as coaching, so I didn't really get the chance to see it up until after, and then I saw the massive scoreline that was the Stormers just dominating again in that game up against the Scarlets. So they'll be more than happy with their first 3 rounds, having Damian Williams as well as Sasha Feinberg Ngume Zulu back, him getting himself a try too. So yeah, they'll be pretty happy. And then also a competitive game between Munster and Edinburgh, which was great to see. These are the games that we saw last round. We actually did see the delay in 2 matches, or at least the postponement, including Edinburgh versus Ulster, as well as Connacht in their game up against the Scarlets. But Benetton having a close game up against the Glasgow Warriors, but beating them, which is why this game for the Lions will be just that little bit more challenging. Benetton love a home game, and even if it is close, they find a way to win at the end. And that is exactly what they'll try and do for this contest. For the Lions, they had a close game, but they weren't able to win it in the end. 22 points to 20 up against Zebra. Many would argue that they should have won that game. Many would also argue that with the way that they played early, they did not deserve to. So it's a tricky position at the moment for this Lions side. But once again, this URC is fully delivering. The most one-sided game was the first of the weekend. Everything else was split by 8 or less, including that Bulls versus Leinster game, which turned into a bit of a thriller as the match did wear on. But two sides just making their way out onto the field now, as we are only sitting 4 minutes away from the kickoff in this contest. We have good afternoon in South Africa. We as the South Africa, or SADFA internet radio, look forward to the game, says Andreas Swart, and it is greatly appreciated you being here for this matchup. We have got Hi All and Hamish, says Robert, and also we have got there the streets are dead quiet around here, and kids on school holidays. Yes, I think the school holidays just finished for us here in New Zealand. I really don't keep a track of it anymore, but of course when I was back at school I knew what was going on, but yeah, I think they've just gone back to school now, so they were absolutely full of energy, as you'd expect for kids to be on a Saturday morning. Very hard to get them to play cricket rather than just running around doing absolutely everything that kids do. We have got there Hi All and Hamish, says Robert, welcome in, hope you're doing well. But Benetton, they will be hoping to get themselves a big win here. Like I mentioned, the win last week in a narrow margin game. And then you've got the Lions on the other side that just needed that one last big moment. And I do think that if the Lions can get into their work early here, that is where they could be at their most dangerous. 22 degrees Celsius looks like an absolutely beautiful day in Italy again for this matchup. And we'll look through at those starting lineups again before we do get into the contest. We have got there, thanks for the broadcast. I told everyone to join in on my side, says the Rugby Guru. Greatly appreciated, mate. And yeah, hopefully you are enjoying your holiday as well. We have to get something going in the near future. We have got there, what did you make of that last decision by Ben Whitehouse from Hano to Jimbo? And also, I'm a big Bulls supporter, and the Bulls have got their game around the corner up against Ulster. That is going to be a tough game, but you know, there's something about a South African side on the road that when they find that determination, they are just very hard to be able to stop. But in the starting lineup for Benetton in this match, it is Spagnolo alongside Saul Lamai and also Simeone Ferrari in that number 3 jersey. It is Nicolo Canoni and Sneyman in the locking duo with Ezekor, Lamaro and also Lorenzo Canoni starting in as that number 8. We're on alongside Jacob Umang, a dangerous attacking duo here for Benetton. Malakai Fekitoa, the Tongan and All Black international, with Manoncello on his outside. Inacio Mendy, Lewis Liner, and also Reno Smith as that number 15. For the Lions, they have made marginal changes compared to what we saw in their loss up against Zebra. SJ Kotsia in the front row. He actually scored himself a try last week. He was flying down the wing. You would have thought it was maybe a loose forward or perhaps a hooker, but it was the big prop. Managed to get himself over the try line there. Marias as the 2, and Klabakanye comes into the starting side rather than making his way off the bench. Oosterhuizen and Delport will be the locking duo for the Lions. They are wearing that awkward kit. I will mention the one that was very hard to see the numbers last week, so there will be a few players who sneak under the radar a little bit, but JC Pretorius, he is certainly not one of them. His impact anytime he is on the field is pretty much straight away felt. Ruan Fenta as the 7, and then Frankie Horn, he was slot in as the number 8. In the 9-10 combination, we see a Springbok return for Morne Vandenberg. He has lacked minutes in Rassi's side, but that does not mean that he will not be effective in this type of contest when he comes straight back in to the starting lineup. Richard Creel, he is starting in at 12, but he has got Chris Smith on the inside, a man who did struggle a little bit last week up against Zebra, getting used to the Italian conditions. Henko van Wyk as the number 13, always full of pace and power. And then Angelo Davids, Edouard Keita, and Kjuan Horn. He will be the man at the back. We have got there, hi Guru, says Daniel, in there as well. And hi Colin, glad you're here on the Kiwi Lads, says the Rugby Guru there. And this is this liner related in any way to the liner of Australia? I believe he is he Michael Liner's son? Because I know that they've got Tom Liner for the Australians, and Lewis Liner does fall in there somewhere. His dad was an international player for Australia, but I'm not sure if it was Michael Liner or there was another Liner in the side too. Get a weekend all. How's life in the fast lane? It's been busy kind of weekend. First weekend of cricket as well, which feels a bit weird seeing as we are still well and truly in the full swing of rugby season. At the same time, referee just giving Chris Smith the ball. Bit of a handshake there as well before this one does get underway. But do let me know your score predictions in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Heart says Lions, but mine says Benetton. Says the Rugby Guru, and afternoon Hamish says Flesham, welcome in. The Lions, they're going to be kicking this one off from left to right. Like I mentioned, a perfect day for a game of rugby in Italy, just like it was last week for the game up against Zebra. But Chris Smith kicks us off, and we are underway for this match of the URC. Nicely taken by Kanoni, just out from his own goal line. And we have good there, don't paint the dog and the cat. I feel like that's great life advice in general. I feel like painting animals is a risky business. But now, already the penalty going the way of the Lions. And that is only going to be maybe about 15 metres out from the Lions, from the Benetton line, which does mean easy 3 points if they want it, but just getting straight into that breakdown. And they have called for the posts. Lions shirt is terrible. It's not my favourite Lions kit I've ever seen. Only because I think the number on the back should actually be white, because or else you can't read it. It's lucky that we know what these players look like roughly, because if we didn't, we'd have no clue who anyone was. We have their Stormers are even good. Mornay with a sin bin. So yeah, it's Jonathan there. And we have got there, his dad is the Aussie ex-player. So is that, it is Michael Liner, right? So he's currently got one kid playing for Italy and one kid playing for Australia, if that is the case. So a multinational family in rugby. Chris Smith, he will be the first man to line up a kick at the posts for this match. Got a decent strike of it, and it's gone over. Early lead here for the Lions, so a great turnover within the first maybe about 30 seconds of the game. And in the extra 3, some really good options off the bench here for the Lions. They are just showing the bench on the sideline, but 3-0. Good start to the match. We have got their ease, says Pads and Police. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. And Hart says the Lions, says Daniel. And there as well. But Benetton, they'll be looking to fire straight back with perhaps a penalty one of their own. Sort of 22 metres out from the line. Nicely taken just inside by Ruan Fenta. Looked like he was going to be able to score himself a late try last week, but just didn't quite find that gap that you'd expect from the big man. 15 metres out from their own line. Morne Vandenberg back into the pocket to Kjuan Horn off the left boot. And does go into touch. Good touch finder by the Lions 15. He's trying to find his way back into that Springbok environment. Of course, he was a part of Russie's widest side. Oh, was that JC Pretorius just holding on to a hamstring? It's not what you want to see within 2.5 minutes. I'm not here, I'm sleeping. Okay, well, we'll believe you there. Go the Lions, says David. His wife is Italian, and I believe, and he was born there, I think. Says Flesham, and well done the Lions. I hope they can keep going, says Colin. Yeah, that is the main thing. Up against Zebra, they were very stop-start. All nice backline here from Benetton. I still feel like when they get it going, one of the smoothest backlines across the whole URC, this Benetton side. They didn't get a chance to show it too much up against the Glasgow Warriors just because of their immense defence that we are used to seeing. Now going off to the right-hand side, Benetton, Jacob Umaga puts it on to Malakai Fekitoa. Wide cut out pass from Mononcello Ezekor in the wide channel. This is going to be a great power shown there from the left winger for the Lions. And Angelo Davids managing to push him into touch, but then also the offload coming from Benetton and the Lions taking it back just 5 metres out from their own try line. Now Morne Vandenberg rolling it back, but that is a great tackle made by Davids on Ezekor to stop what could have been a certain try down the wing. Hello from Rustenburg. And Bushfelt says Rocher. Or Rochier. Hopefully I've said that correctly. Do let me know if I'm mispronouncing that, but it is greatly appreciated you tuning in. Going off to the left-hand side now. Jacob Umaga sells the dummy, but he is tackled low by JC Pretorius. Quickly recycled by Benetton. I think that's been ripped away. In fact, it has Henko van Wyk. I think that Benetton are arguing that it was a strip, not a knock-on. But either way, some great defence being shown here early on from the Lions. And yeah, Henko van Wyk just ripping it out of the hands of the Benetton number 13, Mononcello. Great defence, Lions, poor kick, Vandenberg. Says a rugby guru there. yeah, it just seems like at the moment that kicking battle is something that did cost the Lions last week. And they have to make sure they're either getting that ball in that contestable zone or they have to just sink the slipper into it, get it downfield as far as possible, which I think will be the tactic at the end of this scrum, 4.5 minutes in. Very solid front rows, internationals across the board. Club Akanye for the Lions, and then also you've got Spagnolo as well as Simeone Ferrari in that lineup for Benetton. And typically Sky have Ospreys versus Zebra instead. And it is one slightly good thing about the URC TV option for us here in New Zealand. We used to only get the South African games on TVNZ, but now luckily we've got like both games as options. So I'll be able to catch the replay of that other game in the near future. Benetton dancing with the Lions. Yeah, they've already shown that pace of their backline, getting it into the wide channels. And Izzy Core, like, I don't think many people would have backed Angelo Davids to stop him with the speed and the size of Izzy Core, but Davids made it look easy, which is a good sign early on. The pitch has already been torn up from that one scrum. Yeah, that's not really what the groundskeeper will be wanting. He will have a lot of divots to fix at half-time. The ball going to be fed in by the Lions. They are 10 metres out from their own line, so assuming an exit will be coming here if they can get this ball out, or even better is winning that penalty. Oh, and they've got the free kick. That's all right. I feel like that's the second best thing that could have happened for the Lions. Of course, the penalty would have been the first. Now, Kjuan Horn will have the option to just boot this ball downfield into touch. Other than that early 3 points at the moment, we've seen a lot of attack at this point in time from Benetton. You missed a terrific match between the Stormers and the Scarlets. The Stormers won 34-0. It's the Stormers' best performance away from home. It should have been 62-0. That's how good the Stormers are. Says Mona. Yeah, I did see they get them, or saw that they got themselves the big win. They actually came in as only slight favourites, I believe, as well. But they've certainly proven a lot of people wrong. Sitting 3 from 3, top of the table. Pretty nice place to be after the 3 rounds. Off to the right-hand side. Chance here again for Benetton. 40 metres out. Reino Smith was looping around, but Malakai Fekitoa just not quite able to link up with him. Now, nice little shuffle there from Inacio Mendy. Moving into the 22-metre line. Now, inside ball. Some good skills from the Italian skipper. Now, Umunga again is so quick from Benetton and Lions defence at the moment. Holding strong. Malakai Fekitoa popping it back. Umunga now ball on the outside to Ezekor again. Morne Vandenberg makes a low tackle on him to the right-hand side. Little shuffle there from Eli Sneyman. And Scarlets played a very negative game. And the thing is, up against the side that's already got themselves 2 big wins, you can't really afford to do that. You have to try and take it to them early, definitely when you're at home. You got to try and give them some sort of pressure on them, but it just seemed like the Stormers were able to play their natural game. Nice ball on the inside from Mendy, and that is the natural game of Benetton. And the fullback scores the first try of the contest. But Reino Smith, the man who does score it, just finding that gap, and that is the danger of the Benetton attack. I'm listening whilst watching Botrever versus Villagers. Brilliant but dusty. Is that cricket, Eric, or is that something else? Do let me know. And so Lions up by 3. They need a lot of points before halftime, says Ruth. And Inacio Mendy getting the offload away on the inside. That time Davids just wasn't quite able to stop it. And a nice early try for Benetton, and ouch, Lions, says Colin. You're not quite the start that they would have been after, other than, of course, that early 3-pointer that they were able to get for themselves. And Scarlets, oh dear, that was a flop, no points. Yeah, it always hurts having a 0. And the thing is, it's not the first time that the Stormers have kept a side to 0 throughout this competition. That one missing away to the left-hand side for Benetton and Jacob Umunga. And we had to watch Noah and ESPN. Oh, depending on the country you're in, URC TV have got the viewing rights for a lot of countries when they don't normally have the main broadcasters. So I would definitely check out that, although I would also make sure that it is on there before you buy a subscription, because they do have match passes, season passes, weekend passes, the whole lot. Chris Smith kicking this one off here, 5-3. The moment the way that the scoreboard sits. Oh, and a nice attack and run from Lewis Wirshon. There's a risk of Benetton once again. You have to try and shut them down earlier, else they will make those extra meters each and every time. Oh, a little bit of a scrap going on the side as well. Couple forwards, I think there might have been. Actually, it was Richard Creel getting involved with one of the forwards of Benetton. That ball's gone into touch. Lions have good backline. Hope they can do something, says Colin. And the thing is, they've got a good loose forward trio as well. Ruan Fente, he goes under the radar quite a bit. JC Pretorius, I feel like the Lions are so happy to have him. Every time you see him out there, like at the moment he's got his hands on his hips, but that is because he's been working very hard throughout this first 10 minutes. But yeah, it just seems to be, for the Lions, it takes them that little bit longer than some of the other sides to find their rhythm. Definitely away from home. They're probably, I would argue, had the hardest draw of the South African sides at this point in time in terms of the away games. Oh, this is a concern. Morne van den Berg down at the moment, but he is back to his feet. Looked like it was something lower league related. And true personally, only the Ospreys are really playing well for the Welsh teams. Says the Rugby Guru, yeah, for them to go into South Africa up against the Bulls and score as many points as they did, I think was a massive showing of what this Ospreys side can do. The Dragons, to be fair to them, had some decent moments up against the Sharks, but then at the same time, I do think that the dreadful weather conditions probably even that game out a little bit more too. So which is scarier, Stormers high scoring, 2 or 3 clean sheets. I would say for the coaches, they love clean sheets. You know, you can score all the points in the world, but if you can stop your opposition, that is such a mental edge if you have them with a nil. Nice steal in the breakdown there for Benetton over the ball. No, actually, ending up getting penalised there. They're going to say that Kanoni did not roll away. We see the tackle made. And then from there, oh, tell you what, he's almost out of the way there, Lorenzo Kanoni, and he was celebrating it with his teammate. In fact, that time it was Nicolo, as his match on TV in Ireland. I'm not sure about this game. I know that the next game between Leinster and the Sharks hopefully would be, as well as Ulster versus the Bulls, 2 home games for the Irish sides. There's some factors between the Scarlet score, but no excuses, well beaten, says Fleshin. And also, Ospreys game is on Sky instead, says Jimbo. And South African Rugby, the Boland Rugby Union. Oh, everyone fell in love with watching Boland play throughout that Curry Cup, didn't they? And hopefully we see them again next year. Nicely oh, no, not nicely taken. It was in the hands of the Lions, but then did end up losing it. A little bit of a fumble with the ball from Wirchon, but he has got it back in the hands. Now Benetton 22 metres out from the line. Afternoon chat says on the right. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. If you're excited for 3 games back-to-back today, I think next week there's 4 games back-to-back, including an Irish derby. This one's going to be kicked downfield from Wirshon. Doesn't quite find touch. Richard Creel, this is a chance for the Lions to be able to run it back, but Chris Smith sends it to the sky. Creel chasing after it and can't quite get it cleanly. Nicely cleaned up by Wirchon, but there was a knock on. So it is now going to be the ball in their hands. Oh, and a little bit more push and shove. Kanoni is, of course, involved, as you would normally expect. Yeah, just knocking it on slightly for Wirshon. And how good / bad was Sasha earlier for the Stormers? He had some very good moments. Scored himself a try again for Sasha, but it's going to be intriguing. I feel like that transition from international to URC looked like it was pretty seamless. It's whether or not going from URC back to international is as smooth. I know that last year he did struggle a little bit with that kind of switching and changing, but then that was also because he was dealing with quite a few injuries. But no, he still looked in control. Like, it's pretty hard to look bad in a game that you win by that margin. You know, like, you probably minimum a 5 out of 10 for anyone across the team. But no, he's going to be a real asset for Rassi's side. And the fact that, you know, at the moment, Marnie Libok's been playing so well off the bench. Like, where does Andre Pollard slot into the team at the moment? Speaking of Pollard, of course, he will be playing for the Bulls at some stage, hopefully in the near future. And we have got there, Sasha needs to come down, looks, I'll tell you what, my pronunciation is going to be a bit wrong here. I assume that's talking about the moment, though, when he was having a bit of a go at the ref, which does seem to be something that's common for Sasha. Now ball on the outside, Reno Smith showing his pace, ball on the inside, Lewis Liner, he's going to pin his ears back. Angelo Davids can't catch a Benetton on the counter-attack, and they score themselves another one. Pollard is the world's best third-choice kicker. The thing is, any other team in international rugby, Pollard's probably first choice, if not off the bench second. But at the moment, for Russie's side, he is sitting third, which is such a weird situation for him to be in. But you know that if there's a game that they need it, that he is going to be right there, ready to take a kick. Pollard's going to be exactly who you want, but great pace from Lewis Linar on the counter. And Pollard playing for the Bulls tonight. Says Colin, are they willing to let him play? I know that Villy LaRue is going to be making his way off the bench. I'll have a quick look. Is Pollard in that team? He is. He's playing as the number 10. I missed that when I was looking through at the lineups. I don't know how you missed someone like Andre Pollard. Oh boy, here we go. I mean, to be fair, your prediction was Benetton by 12, and at the moment they're not sitting too far off there. As that kick misses away to the side, that is one thing keeping the Lions within a converted try at the moment. 2 missed kicks from Jacob Umaga. And Lions are nowhere. Says Colin there, and Osprey's attack looking sharp. Zebra racking up the tackles. And also Pollard is playing today, says Sean. Yes, so him in the 10 jersey. Kanan Moody 13. Villy LaRue in that number 23 jersey. And I do see that Yandre Rudolph, man who was one of the underrated gems for the Bulls in the in the Curry Cup. He is going to be in that starting lineup too. But Chris Smith kicking it off deep and long. But Benetton just so dangerous on that counter-attack. As we just witnessed, it was close to the steal for JC Pretorius. Just not quite on the ball. Benetton by 20 maybe. We have got there. What did you do? Are you going to do with your time you have or have had on your hands? I've actually had less spare time this week than I've had during the Rugby Championship. It's been a bit of a weird one, but it's straight into the cricket season now. So I've been helping out with junior cricket, so we ended up doing some coaching on Thursday. Been organising things on Friday as well as Wednesday for the juniors too, so it's been pretty flat out. I'm looking forward to seeing the Sharks game today. Josh Van den Fleur is captain for Leinster, great choice. Yeah, he's an absolutely awesome asset for that team. And then you also look at the Sharks, and they have got, Vincent Tchuka at the moment is looking pretty handy. Managed to get himself the 2 tries from his first 2 games of the URC. Jacob Umaga kicking it downfield now for Benetton. Reno Smith chasing after this but this might be a 50-22 depending on the bounce of the ball. It's gone back infield for Kuan Horn. 10 metres out from the line, going to back his pace to get around Ezekor. Passes across to Chris Smith. And he will get that ball back downfield, but does not find touch. This one's going to go high. Jacob Umaga chasing after it. Oh, he's been cleaned up. I think it was by Chris Smith, but nothing too cynical, says the referee. Who's the Lions captain? I believe it is Frankie Horn. And the number 8 jersey for this game. Nice take again from Smith. Tackled low by Reno Smith. Now 40 metres out from the line, looking for an offload. Good hands there from, was that Nico Stain? I think that Morne Vandenberg's got off the field here, ladies and gents. That is not good news, not just for this Lions side, but also for the box. The only person that's probably good news for is Faf de Klerk. He may get some game time throughout November. Now counter-attack here for Benetton again, but this time ball dropped by Malakai Fekitoa. And now counter-attack, Frankie Horn offloads to JC Pretorius. He is always going to be tricky to stop, but just gets stuck about maybe 35 metres out from Benetton's line, and they get themselves the steal. The Storm is real deal. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. They beat a poor Leinster. Won a home game against a stronger Welsh side, and away win against an average Welsh team. Yeah, I think that for the Stormers, they're doing that work early. And it's almost like the terminology in MMA. They're putting water in the basement at the moment, the Stormers side. They are not, at this point in time, going to stay number 1 throughout the whole competition, I don't think. But they're getting those early points to be able to, just push a little bit more towards that top spot, as well as, they're just going to get that points differential off the charts for the early stages. It was actually the drop ball by Seula Mai as well, rather than Fekitoa I see on the replay. But yeah, putting that water in the basement, starting to fill it up, and just keeping those points sticking over. We have hello Hamish, what's your prediction on this game? I'm a little bit similar to a lot of people, how I thought that the Lions, or at least I was hoping that the Lions would have a great chance here, but it just seems like maybe there'll be few opportunities on attack. Like once again, Benetton into the 22 of the Lions once more. And they will go for it again. Little step attempted there from Nicola Canoni. It's not really a little step when the man's over 6 foot tall or 6'5". And now offload here on the cards for Mononcello. Can't get it away. 10 metres from the try line here. Benetton on hot attack once more. Going to work their way towards a bonus point. Nice quick hands from Breno Smith out to Lewis Liner. Now sitting 5 metres out from the line. Chance here to use some of their forwards once more here for Benetton. Now Urshan going across to the left-hand side. There is an advantage in play as well from Andrew Brace. Is a core with a big step for the big man, and he is just 1 metre short of the try line, all but getting over. Kanoni with the dive. And he is once again going to be millimetres from the try line. So they're going to go for it again. They are very close to being over. Andrew Brace awards it. Benetton get their 3rd try of the fixture. A very strong Bulls team today. Wilco Low, Jan-Hendrik Wessels, Gerhard Stennekamp as well. And yeah, I feel like they've got some really good power up front, as well as, you know, to have Andre Pollard in that 10 jersey just to be able to compose that back line. Kanan Moody, he's playing some great rugby. He's in the 13 jersey for this game. It's a little bit similar, you know, to the Sharks as well, having those reinforcements. Makazole Mapimpi, Ethan Hooker, Mbanambi off the bench. It's going to make a big difference for those sides as it's turning into a beatdown. Yeah, at the moment, it is a rinse and repeat from Benetton. They will receive the Lions will kick it to them, and then Benetton will just keep on running it up the field. The Lions get it back for a second, they kick it back to Benetton, who fire with a counter-attack. That is the motion that we're in at the moment. This is a blitz attack. It absolutely is. It's very, very strong on attack from Benetton. Jacob Umanga. Oh, okay. It's actually going to be Canodi making his way off the field. That is Lorenzo. But Jacob Umanga getting that kick over, making the score now 17 points to 3. Now that if the Lions jersey is not working, it's a really hard one to read the numbers, I'll be honest, but I'm sure there's some sort of reasoning behind it, right? There'll be some sort of story as to why they've got it. It looks like it's like graffiti writing, so I don't know whether that's something to do with, I don't know if graffiti's like artists are big in Johannesburg or something. I don't really know the story behind it, but kick downfield from Chris Smith off kickoff and then return fire there for Benetton. This is as far up the field as we have seen the Lions in quite some time. Now, San Eduardo watching on for this one, the Italian president of rugby, the Rainbow Lions, says the rugby guru there. And Benetton and Zebra aren't pushover teams anymore. I watched Benetton when I was in Italy. They play with passion and are very difficult to beat. When their backline's firing, I've mentioned about it, one of the best in the URC in terms of that backline pace and precision. And their defence has come a long way in the last kind of 2 years or so. Because like you said, they used to be a side that people wanted in the draw. Now they're certainly not. Nasbota says, Morne Fasaki. And g'day, good morning. Did you even sleep? I managed like 4 hours of sleep. Maka van Staden as well for the Bulls. Yet Jackling Machine will get himself, I would think, at least 2 turnovers in that upcoming matchup against Ulster. Rolling this one back again. Wirshon puts a high flunky. Horn has managed to charge it down. So pressure on Reno Smith, but just enough pace to be able to put that ball into touch. It will only be 15 metres out from the try line though. And not a lot of space to work with. Lions look more like chickens than KFC, says Ruth. Okay. It's an interesting analogy, although they have struggled to get that momentum going. Now, chance here for Marias. This is as far up the field, like I mentioned, that they have been. Marias looking a little bit sunburned at the moment. Didn't put it on the sunscreen, similar to myself. Ready to throw this one in. It's gone over the top, but it is still claimed by the Lions. Like Benetton, I think they're a replacement 20 man on the field. Paul Canoni trying to get in there. Are these teams both 100% native? As in, like, all their players from, like, the country that they're playing for? I know that Benetton have a couple internationals in their side, such as Malakai Fekatoa, ex-All Black, as well as Tongan international. He is playing there. Lewis Liner, he is an international Italian player, but he's got some Australian connection there, but of course plays for Italy. in there. And then also Rhino Smith, the South African, in the number 15 jersey for Benetton. Going off to the right-hand side, Nico Stain. Now chance here, Chris Smith. In fact, that time, Kjuan Horn. Going to get the attack going. They need to find a way through very soon. They currently find themselves down by the 2 converted tries here, the Lions. And this is their best chance. If they don't score now, it'll be pretty disheartening for the away side. Nico Stain popping it up again. 10 metres from the try line. Now Stain changing the direction out to Henko van Wyk, trying to get through, but this time Nicolo Canoni trying to turn it into a rolling maul, but can't quite. Lions finding themselves on the ground. I'm looking around at the moment for Clubber Kanye. I'm not really seeing him at this point in time, but I wonder where he would be. Backline movement here. Angelo Davids in the corner, and the Lions get themselves the try. We'll get them back into this game. We have got their Street Spirit meets Rugby Grit. The Lions 2025-26 URC away kit as a bold graffiti-inspired design that channels the vibrancy and edge of Johannesburg's urban culture. Well, there you go. So, yeah, I'd assume that there was some sort of story as to why you would spray your kit the way that it is. But, right. TMO's getting involved here, ladies and gents. Oh, hang on. That sounds like knock-on from Lions player is what they're checking for. They're not even checking here for the foot and touch. They may have found something else. So the TMO's going to get involved here. And gosh darn TMO. There's not many tries nowadays that don't have a TMO involved, unfortunately. Other than Benetton's first 3. So we have a guru in the building. We certainly do. He is on holiday at the moment. So that is why anyone who is popping in now, I would normally watch his Afrikaans. His Afrikaans commentary. I think Angelo Davids may have thrown that at the line, in fact, here. Rather than placing it right. The fingertips. It's a tackle attempt from the line. No, that's all right. I think he slams it down and then the ball comes free. So that should be fine. What? They've just given it as no try. I know that I'm not the best when it comes to vision. I swear that just looked like he slammed it and then it knocked on. We got a slower replay? Because that looked fine to me. There's no denying that he did drop it afterwards, but I thought he slammed it and then it knocked free. But they've called it as a knock-on, no try for Angelo Davids there. And David's showing his Stormers DNA, says Haino. He isn't in control, says Haino there as well. And the Bulls have also got Cheswell Huster, a superstar of the future, mark my words. I don't think Colby can keep up with him. He's got pure pace, Cheswell Huster. We saw that in the under-20s competition for the South Africans. Now running this one for Ruan Fenta. Score still sits 17 points to 3 after the disallowed try for the Lions. And back across to the left-hand side. Chris Smith. Nice hands from Kjuan Horn. And nice hands again from Henko van Wyk. Little off-blow from Richard Creel. As JC Pretorius chopped down inside of Benetton's 22. Someone slipped the ref some doubloons. See, it's big rig, backline move. A little grubber attempted here and behind, but well controlled at the back for Liner, who is smashed there in the tackle by the Lions. Only 5 metres out from their own line now. Benetton, a lot of pressure coming in from the away side here. And it's almost like the last 5 minutes we've seen a switch in the Lions' mentality. They're now going a lot more aggressive when it comes to their attack. Stormers never won with that margin away from home. What are your thoughts on last night's match between the Stormers and the Scarlets? The Stormers are the real deal this season. They're looking strong early, but like it was mentioned earlier on, they just can't get too ahead of themselves. But they are doing some great work early. They're putting, I'm going to say it again, the water in the basement. You know, they're getting those points early so that later on when it comes down to those thin margins and maybe they finish 1 point ahead someone else, you know that was what got them there, those early big moments. Colby doesn't need to compete with anyone. He's in the swan song of his career already. Says Wenmar. And also Shady TMO, but as a Benetton fan, I'm not too bothered. Says Katzenel. Line out throw here for SJ Kutsia. The exit from Benetton did not get a massive amount of meterage again. So then 22 metres out. Ruan Fenta taking the line out, going across to the right. Now Nico Stain. No returning on Morne Vandenberg as of yet. They're loving that left-hand side here. JC Pretorius offload their ball on the inside. There is Clubber Kanye. I mentioned about it earlier on, how we hadn't seen the big man for a while, but he scores the try. the inside pass in the support running. Tight ear prop gets himself over. A 50-50 call from the TMO, deemed no control as he attempted touchdown. So here's the rugby guru. JC Pretorius passing it out wide. It was all the forwards. I'm not too sure where Angelo Davids was for all of this. But it was about 3 forwards in a row passing to each other as JC Pretorius playing. Is he even in the squad? He is. He just got himself the assist of the assist. But JC, where's the TMO now? Says Big Rig. Luckily, doesn't look like they're getting involved. For this one, Chris Smith ready to line up this kick, but a good fire back here from the Lions. They're starting to get a bit more of the possession. It's making all the difference. The kick does just sneak over for Chris Smith. That is one massive bonus you've got when that man has a kicking tee. He gets it over more times than not. Good try from the Lions, says Colin. Yeah, very nicely done by the forwards out wide to be able to all link up together. I believe Frankie Horn was involved, Ruan Fenta, and then also JC Pretorius there too. Yeah, just some really nice hands. So yeah, JC then out to Frankie Horn, and then the ball in the inside to Klabakanya. And if he didn't have that inside pass, they also had SJ Kutsia ready for it too. Nicely taken by Ruan Fenta inside of his own 22. Score sitting 17 points to 10 in favour of the home side still. Klabakanya dives better than some backs. It was a beautiful dive to watch, to be fair to the big man. But I feel like, to be fair, a prop is normally, in terms of the tries that they score, they don't get that opportunity to do a big dive like that. They normally have to drive around the side of a ruck and, maybe you get squashed over the try line. But for him, to have such an open area, this is a change here. Malakai Feketoa going off here for Drago. I'm not sure if that is TMO. Oh, I think it is, because there is a medic coming out to try and tell Feketoa where he goes. He needs to play 12 or 13. Says Katzenel. For JC Pretorius, I thought you were talking about Klabakanya for a second there. As a backline sevens guy, what is he doing in his forwards? I think it's because of the jackling ability. Although you can look at someone like a Damien Dialendi and know that you can have a great jackler in a backline as well. We have got the brilliant flanker, best at the breakdown, JC Pretorius, the next Kwaka Smith. And yeah, he's so versatile. What a run this is for Benetton. Lewis Liner, pure pace. And he breaks through, scores the try. Such a dangerous counter-attack from this Benetton side. The crowd absolutely loving it. That came out of nowhere as well, just finding one gap in the Lions' defence, and Lewis Liner scores himself another one. And too easy, says Big Rig. Yeah, we're going to see here, just the pick and go and offload. That was all it was from Wershon, but lured in 2 defenders, then Liner backs himself to be able to beat the pace of Angelo Davids. Not many people do that. But in this case, David's just not able to cut across. Kuan Horn, I think, was already up in the line defensively, so wasn't covering back. And like I said, Wershon coming over from Australia and having a great start to this match as well. Lions defence sucks, says Colin. And it makes it tricky, doesn't it? They work so hard for 5 or so minutes to score their own try, just to then have one little mistake on defence that costs them the 7 points. So the kick goes over from Jacob Umaga, making the score now 24 points to 10. I really hope they will make the playoffs this year, says Katzenel. And also over there, let's go, says Katzenel there. But yeah, going back to JC Pretorius, has that sevens background as well. And those guys just seem to be built different in terms of their breakdown ability as well as just pure pace. Like JC, you could honestly slot him into anywhere in a loose forward trio for most sides and he'd do well. Like it was mentioned, he also has that pace and that skill to be a back if needed. So, he is literally a Kwaka Smith kind of option in the future. Penalty won by the Lions. Nice work in the breakdown from, I believe it would have been Ruan Del Port to be able to get that steal. In fact, JC Pretorius was in there too, but it was Oosterhuizen who gets credit for the turnover. I thought for a second there that the Lions actually called for the scrum, but they did call for the corner instead. How many international players are featured on either side? Says Katzenel. For the Lions, we'll go from the start of the match because they did have Morne Vandenberg, but I believe The thing is, do you count Kieran Horn as an international player because he has had Springbok experience just this year or even last year? I would say yes. So in that case, you've got 3 for the Lions across their starting lineup and reserves. And then you've got half of the Italian side in this Benetton lineup. Rolling more, but the ball pops out there. And now Benetton back in possession, although they gave the ball straight back to the Lions and they'll go back. I forgot Smith was playing alongside JC and Davis. Says Katsanel there. I really hope Lions backs can get some forward ball, says Colin. And yeah, the fact that it's been the one try scored by the Lions is the try that the forwards were able to score from a back position is a bit of an interesting dynamic. So maybe we're going to see maybe a back score right next to the breakdown. Crash ball from, to be fair, Henko van Wyk. He's got enough size to be able to go around the side of that breakdown. The URC is mostly about which clubs have the best Springboks. So here's Robert. Yeah, although you look through at those first couple rounds, or at least the first round in particular, when no Springboks were playing, and we saw some great work. Like the Lions have always been one of those sides that have been considered as the dark horse of South African rugby, and they pulled off some brilliant wins last year. They just weren't consistent enough. And I do think that, you look at the Sharks, for instance. Sorry to bring this up for the Sharks supporters, but they had so many Springboks, not last year, but the year prior, and they finished almost last on the table. So sometimes it's not so much about the players that you have, but how you use them. And I do think that this year, the Lions in particular, they haven't got those same stocks as some of the other teams. They also do have some pretty decent options there and some bright future players for their side. JC Pretorius, he's been a bit of a hidden gem. And I do hope that he stays at the Lions because another side may look to bring him up. Anyone else thinking Eben and Khaleesi are getting a bit old? The thing is, I feel like they are getting closer to probably the end of their international career, but Rassi will want both of them for that next World Cup. So they won't play them a huge amount, I don't think, next year. They'll try and ease them into that World Cup campaign because those are the type of leaders that you want out there on the field. And if they aren't playing, they'll be there definitely coaching. Rassi may look to just strategically rotate. And I think that that's what we're going to see at the World Cup anyway, due to the new format. But, in those big moments, I would still want both of them out there on the field because they are match winners. Nice run down the wing from Angelo Davids, cutting back into Lewis Liner off to the right-hand side here. Nicely, quickly shoveled across to the right from Chris Smith. Ball's loose. Klaba Kanye has to play halfback. What can't that man do in this game? Chris Smith going for the up and under. That one's going very aerial and very sideways. Benetton, knock on there. Referee says, no, we're good. So it looks like it is going to be controlled by Benetton now. Khaleesi finished the Rugby Championship very well. Tough little fella, says Jimbo. And Etzebeth and Khaleesi still best picked till 2027. And I won't be too worried about the Lions just yet. Away games will always be tough. It's the home games that matter, absolutely. And they've got 2 big ones coming up against Scarlets and Ulster. Nice inside ball from Richard Krill. Back out to him, looked a bit forward from Henko van Wyk. But again, just kicking the ball straight back to Benetton. Managed to clear it downfield, about 30 metres out from the try line now, though, for the Lions. They have got themselves that line out. Have you covered Pro 14? I don't think we ever covered any of the Pro 14. We covered the URC pretty much from the get-go on the channel. But yeah, I don't think any Pro 14 was covered. Not that I can think of anyway. JC needs to come down under. I'd be a great and exciting player for Super Rugby, says Katsanel. I feel like anywhere that man went, he would have a lot of success. Stick him in Japan, he'll be one of the busiest in the breakdown. Stick him in France would be actually the most interesting, I would say, in terms of whether or not he would be a standout or whether he would blend in with those French teams. I still think he'd be one of the stars no matter where he goes. Oh, nice run from Henko van Wyk. Almost broke through the second tackle. Lewis Liner hanging on to the ankles. Stop him from getting through. Marias. Now going off to the right-hand side again. Chris Smith finds Kieran Horn. Little shovel onwards. Oh, ball through the legs from Frankie Horn. Trying a bit of the fancy pass. It does go into touch. Good afternoon. How are you doing? Why didn't you do the Stormers game yesterday? It is because I was helping coach kids cricket. So that was pretty much overlapping completely with that Stormers Scarlets game. I did see, though, big win for the Stormers. But yeah, now Saturday morning is going to be a little bit trickier stream-wise just because of volunteering and helping out with the kids' sides. A good run from Henko van Wyk and those few extra metres, but now Seula May with the line out. 37 minutes already gone in this contest, and it's been flying by. Henko van Wyk, I'll be the next big thing in South Africa. Such a talented player. So are you keeping him at 13? Or are you moving him anywhere? Because I do think that at the moment, Rassi's probably looking at Moody as a great 13 option. Jesse Creoy's still got a couple years under his belt. So I guess once he starts going, that's when we'll see that next guy get the chance. And it could very much be Henko van Wyk. And Ospreys lose their starting 9 to a bad-looking shoulder injury. Says Jimbo, well, the Lions lost Morne van den Berg in this game due to a leg injury too. We have got their Stormers are doing very well now. Beat all 3 games. Yeah, they've got themselves 3 wins from 3. Definitely 13, says the Guru. And volunteering, says Gatson. Now, yeah, it is certainly not a paid job coaching under 12s cricket. Or at least it's not around these parts anyway. And good day, Hamish, says Daryl. Welcome in. Hope you're doing very well. And hope you're excited for the 3 games back-to-back. The next one, Leinster versus the Sharks. That's a game that you would think on paper should go one team's way, but at the same time, I just want to see the Sharks pull off something big, even if it's just making it a close game. Make it entertaining. That's all we can ask for from the Sharks side away from home. And then the Bulls up against Ulster, a Springbok stacked Bulls side. Next season will be the starting 13 for the Bulls. Oh, so you're saying 2026 we're going to see him in, and then I guess World Cup round that corner as well for him. Now going off to the left-hand side, pass on the outside, Angelo Davids finds Kjuan Horn, tries to back his base boss on the inside to Angelo Davids. 25 metres out for the line. Benetton so quick with their defence, but the Lions with the hot attack now. Off to the right again here. Chris Smith finds the ball with a little cross kick. It goes over the head of JC Pretorius. I think that's where they just needed to pass it. And you can see the frustration on the face of Pretorius out wide. Yes, I'm a Sharks supporter, says Daryl there. And Ospreys 14-0 up against Zebra. So a good start to the match for the Ospreys. They've actually had I would argue, a very good start to their season. The way that they've been going. To be as close as they were up against the Bulls, I feel like was a massive testament to how they have been playing. And yeah, you just wonder whether or not could they get that top 8. I know that them and the Lions had a great top 8 battle in terms of who was going to get that final spot. I think it was 2 years ago we ended up seeing it. And in the end, it came down to the Ospreys having a great last game to push them inside of that top 8. It's going to be half-time. The clock was actually slow out there on the field, so kicked out and half-time in this contest. 24-10 in favour of Benetton. Yes, they gave the Bulls a run for their money, says Daryl, and it's actually probably a good thing for the Bulls as well. I feel like having a couple close games early on in the season and finding your rhythm again can be very handy. And Pretorius is very good at defence. He's solid, says Ruth. Yeah, he's just an all-round great player, JC Pretorius, and an absolute key here for the Lions. Like, having him back for this game, I know that they are currently losing to Benetton, but compared to what we saw up against Zebra, I feel like we're seeing better work in the breakdown throughout this contest, as well as just that general running from the forwards. Now, Pollard, first choice, a fly half, just getting rested more often. And they will surely do rotation, but he'll be right up there, says the Rugby Guru. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Rassi uses 50 guys throughout 2026. Because we've also got to remember that new rule's come in, hasn't it? Or the new law, how guys can only play, I believe it's 30 games throughout a season, which is pretty hard to get to anyway for those international players. But I don't think Rassi will have anyone with more than about 10 caps for the year for the Springboks, if not maybe even less. We have got there, Marias. Hamish is also French pronunciation for Maria. Hopefully I've said that correctly. We have got there, Sonny, listen, who cares? These dumb South African or soft Africans teams play a boring brand of rugby like their national team. Sonny, you've been nothing but a complainer for the last 5 weeks. I've seen you in the comments, and no matter what the video is, you always find a way to just complain about South Africa. So I feel like the best bet is if you don't like their rugby, don't watch it, and the rest of us will just enjoy it. But yeah, it sounds like a broken record at this point. No matter what live stream, no matter what team of the tournament, like you just seem to complain about South Africa. So just don't watch them. It's much easier. David is good. I will be part of the broader squad. But still need work done, says the Rugby Guru. Yeah, see, he's a tricky one for me because he shows all of the signs of a great player, but every once in a while makes those little errors that he definitely will want to take out of the game. Would you like most Kiwis wish to run for the bigger island next door? Not really. Like, Australia's nice and all, but, you know, I don't have any real intention to go on there. Are you correct, Hamish? Hello? I just wanted to know your prediction for Leinster versus Sharks. See, I think that Leinster are going to win by a lot, but I don't want them to. I want it to be a close game. Like, very close. Going down to less than 7 points separating them, but there's just a chance it's going to be one-sided. Like, Leinster have got some of their big guys back. The one benefit for the Sharks is they don't have Gibbs and Park due to the injuries. And box play November 1st versus Japan. Says the Rugby Guru there. Leinster by 24, says Haino. And that boring brand of rugby just won the most intense rugby championship in years. And also, you know, calling the Springboks game plan or their tactics boring now is just stupid. Because they scored the most tries out of any side in the rugby championship. I believe they also had the most clean breaks. They were right up there for defenders beaten. They ran the most meters out of any side. So if you're really getting technical, all the other sides in the rugby championship played the boring rugby, whereas the Boks, they were playing Tony ball and having a very good time while doing it. Over there, I got Leinster by 25 when I was Sharks supporter, but away game, yeah, it's going to be tough. Do you see the Springboks, the likes of a Mapimpi, Ethan Hooker, those guys kind of really stepping up in that game, or do you think they'll be just kind of in pilot mode in this type of game? Is South Africa the only team and the championship to only win back-to-back games? To only win back? What do you mean by only win? I know that other sides have gone back-to-back before, but I assume you're saying to win a World Cup, then go back-to-back, maybe? And the youngest Finton Gunn is very good. Can be as quick as Gibson Park, says Tiger. That's the thing. Like, they still have great depth, though, don't they, Leinster? When you take away a few of those guys. Like, no Ardguess Snyman at the moment. No Rico Ioane. Of course, Geordie Barrett going back to the Hurricanes. But, like, you're in that scenario where, like, they're just going to be very hard to beat with the guys that they've got. But then the Sharks side actually look pretty good on paper. You know, it's one of the strongest Shark sides we have seen in quite some time. But it's just whether or not they can get that job done. Don't think they'll have much of an impact once Leinster start gaining momentum, says the Rugby Guru. And also those are back-to-back rugby champion champs. Just by the way, says coach. Yeah, so like to call a side that have gone back-to-back boring, this makes no sense to me. Because, you know, like I said, I've got all the stats there about all of the numbers that South Africa had throughout the Rugby Championship, and they're right up the top. We have got the as Bulls playing today. They have got their game up against Ulster, and that has taken place in around 4 hours' time. Yeah, team stats. Most tries of the competition, 27 by South Africa. That is more than any other side by 6. South Africa had the most clean breaks by an extra 10. They also had the most meters gained by an extra around 200. Defenders beaten, they had 160 defenders beaten in the competition, so there's no part of that that says that they aren't playing entertaining rugby at the moment. And we have got there, hi Hamish, going good. Says Jan Lu, I am doing very well. Hopefully you are also doing well too. Ospreys are 14-0 up against Zebra at halftime. See, that's interesting, isn't it? So they kind of got off to a good start, the Ospreys, and then Zebra are actually a much better side this year than I think a lot of people will give them credit for. They were actually a strong side last year, but just couldn't get those wins. And then also, a couple really one-sided losses did hurt them badly in terms of that differential. Is Pollard playing for the Bulls? He is. He's starting at number 10 for the Bulls. Villy LaRue, he'll be making his way off the bench. Maka van Staden, Kane Moody, also featuring for this Bulls side. As at 30 games of Is it 30 games of minutes or 30 games? I think it's just playing in 30 matches, but it's probably a good point that you've made there, Daryl. In terms of the fact that if a guy comes off the bench for 2 minutes, does that count as one of his games? I believe it would. Augustus starts for Ulster. I did see that. 1-0 Augustus. Sadly, no Werner Koch there for the South African rugby lovers. But yeah, 1-0 Augustus back from his injury. Hopefully will look strong. I know that he was pretty unlucky to miss out on any sort of Bok minutes due to that injury. But he looks like a real talent, or at least he did for the Northampton Saints. And Bok's dished out. Biggest loss on ABs in New Zealand. If that's boring, then I love boring. Says Jimbo. Yeah, it was far from like pretty much anything we have seen from the South Africans, but in a really kind of good way. And an eyelash on my tongue, so I had to try and take that off. We have got there, who's the other person at number 10 for the Bulls? Probably Willie LaRue, I guess. In terms of their bench, who have they got at number 22 off the bench, I wonder? Can't think if they've got a replacement 10 per se, or whether Villy's going to try and cover both. Right, I got it that time. We have got there, the Lions are giving Benetton too much space. The Stormers will be in their faces when it comes to the defence, says Mornay. And also we have got there, Pollard is the difference between the Bulls finally winning the URC and not winning it, says Christopher DeVette. We have got there, those complaining about South African rugby is really a case of sour grapes. It is. Either they put some money on someone else to win, and South Africans bet them, or they just have something against the South Africans in general. But like I said, the easiest way to deal with it is if you don't like watching South African rugby, you don't watch it. Like, you can't be forced to watch it. Willie cover at 10 years. So they've got David Creel, I see, as the number 22. And then also Paul DeVette as the number 21 there. Team did Colby play? He was almost signed with the Stormers, but I think he's still in Japan for the next season. However, there LaRue, General Iron Man, says Ref, and how's Hamish Craig from St. Francis Bay? Says Craig there, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. Just in time for the second half, which is just about to get underway. Then from there, we've still got two more big games around the corner. South Africa have got two sides in action for the rest of the URC round. We are going to get to see the Sharks versus Leinster. That game is such an intriguing one. I do think that the Bulls-Ulster will be closer, whereas that game between the Sharks and Leinster, that is the one that everyone, I think, wants to see be close, but they may just not quite be able to do so. And then, yeah, like I mentioned, Bulls-Ulster, that match afterwards, currently sitting almost 4 a.m. here in New Zealand, but somehow I'm slightly wide awake. That can all change in an instant, but I will mention anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated you all being here for these URC matches. We've got plenty taking place next week. While we are at it, we will go like that. We'll go like that. There we go. These are all New Zealand times, by the way. So for South African time, you just add the hour and change it to PM. So the likes of Edinburgh versus Benetton, for instance, that is taking place at 8:45 PM for you guys in South Africa. But the Bulls, they'll be playing up against Connacht for that game on the Saturday morning or the Friday night. In South Africa, Lions playing the Scarlets, Sharks, Ulster, Leinster, Munster. That is always a great one to watch, the Irish Derby. And then Zebra, taking on the Stormers. Could be an intriguing game. Stormers have been very strong at home, as well as that first game away up against the Scarlets. And then to close out the round, that could be match of the weekend. I'm going to put it out there right now. Ospreys playing some good rugby. Glasgow, they've had a bit of a slow start, but they are a very strong side that has a lot of potential, as well as that Leinster-Munster match. But the fact that Leinster are at home makes it that little bit tricky. Also, Sharks-Ulster. To be fair, there's about 5 games here that could end up being game of the round, but something about that Ospreys versus Glasgow game, I think we'll have a lot of people enjoying it throughout the match as well. Now, I should mention to anyone who is tuning in from the Rugby Guru's normal viewing audience, it is greatly appreciated you being here. I would assume, because I don't quite know the length of the holiday, I believe it's just this weekend, but Guru will be back next weekend for that Afrikaans commentary of all the South African games, so be sure, of course, to check that out if you do love yourself a bit of Afrikaans. If possible, please keep us updated with Ospreys' Zebra score. At the moment, halftime 14-0 in favour of the Ospreys. So they did get off to a bit of a flying start. I'll even tell you the try scorers while we're at halftime. These two sides just about to make their way back out onto the field. So we saw Kokonathinga, scoring the try in the 16th minute, and then also Morse scoring in the 18th. So two very quick fire tries from them in the middle patch. I was thinking Pollard is a difference maker. Think of it, he lost a lot for Leicester Tigers and won little Montpellier. I think he won one top 14. Says Tiger 11. And maybe Lions can pull back in the second half. The thing is, they aren't out of this game. Yes, they're down by 14, and that does hurt. Any more points for Benetton, I'd say that it's almost done and dusted. But they're in a scenario at the moment now. They just need that one big moment at the start of the second half. I reckon some of the Springboks, such as the likes of Mapimpi and Etzebeth, do not have the luxury of entering this match day on pilot. Some emerging players really stake their claims to the jerseys. Yeah, see, Mapimpi's a tricky one, though, because last year in the URC, and near the end of the season, he was actually playing some great rugby for the Sharks, but he never got any game time for the Boks. So I do think that for the likes of a Mapimpi, he has already proved exactly what he can do international-wise, and it's whether or not Rassi wants to still give him some chances, or whether they want to go for the other side of things, which is the likes of an Ethan Hooker or a Kanan Moody. And we have got there, thanks Hamish, we'll be back for next week's matches, says the Rugby Guru. And there, one of Guru's men, says Clinton. And yeah, it is greatly appreciated you guys popping over for the stream. I know that normally, of course, you have got Johan's commentary. He does an extremely good job. Oh, early penalty going the way of Lions. So this has actually started for the second half the same way that we saw the first half start, which is a penalty to the side who kicked off. This is an early 3 if they want it. And I think they might. We'll give that little bit more of a lead. To wait and see what happens here. Yep, the kicking tee has been called for. And Rugby Guru no longer does English commentary. I used to be half and half, now only Afrikaans, says Bruce. Yeah, he's found his niche and he's doing extremely well with it. And there's obviously a massive market for Afrikaans commentary as well. So, you know, if you're going to have one person doing it, you're better off having the best in the game. And I feel like Johan is definitely that guy in terms of play-by-play. That kick has gone over from Benetton. It was also the first ever collaboration on the channel as well. So I feel like he's got that soft spot on the Kiwi Lads channel too. He did collaborate with us when we had just, I believe it was 93 subscribers. And he was willing to give us half a shot. Did a little bit of bingo. Not literal bingo, but on Rugby Challenge. Score now sitting 27 points to 10. Thanks, Hamish. See, here's the Rugby Guru there. And also, as a Bulls supporter, I admire the Lions. They gave you make do and fight for more, for less. Another reason why I'm halted or delighted that R360 has been halted. I don't think it's been halted. It's just more so that like the unions are all coming together saying you're not going to play international rugby if you play in our competition. But I always say it. If the big players don't take the money, someone will. So do we want to see those big guys getting the paydays, or are we happy seeing these other random players getting the big checks? And I feel like, you know, either way it's going to continue. They will find some way of completing that league. I think it will be intriguing to see. Nicely claimed there against the throw there from Benetton. That was actually that casual that it just looked almost effortless for Benetton to get the steal, as if they actually received the call from the Lions side. At 27-10, I mentioned how the Lions couldn't afford to give away any points, and then they gave away points within about 30 seconds of the second half getting underway. A lot of pressure there on Lewis Liner, right next to the sideline. To the left-hand side again. And this is where Benetton, if they can get themselves one more try, would extend that lead. They also already have the bonus points, so they don't really need to push for that here. And sorry, Bruce says the Rugby Guru. And also, do Rassi coach the Bulls? He does not know. But they have got a new coach after Jake White was removed from that role last season. Going off to the left-hand side, Reno Smith. Going to be tackled low by SJ Coetzee, but again, getting it out wide. And Ashio Mendy gets round the outside, cutting back inwards. Can't quite get that offload away. And onto the ball for the Lions, just losing his footing in the end. Nico Stain, Johan Ackerman, new Bulls coach. I used to run the Lions during their great run. Yes, it'll be an intriguing one to see whether or not he can put some gold in the cabinet for this Bulls side. And if he doesn't, do they sack him? Because I know that Jake White for a long time, even in his first season, people were saying get rid of him. So I'd like to think that they'll give Ackerman a bit more time if it doesn't go well. Because at the end of the day, there are so many great sides in this URC. Benetton currently sitting only the 10 metres out from the try line. Going with another pick and go just short. Looks like maybe a knock to the back of the head here for the number 9. Ripping it out. And into the hands of Kanoni, who has returned from his HIA. Oh, in fact, no, sorry, that was the other Kanoni brother. And a turnover there for the Lions, 5 metres out from their own try line. Getting it at a perfect time. Fun fake. A few extra metres there again. A penalty here for the Lions would be massive, but it looks like instead Nico Stain will have to try and kick this one downfield. We have got there. And so you should be sorry because you talk English like what I do. Just kidding, Guru. I still tune in sometimes, says Bruce. And also nice to see those great players doing coaching now, says Ruth. Yeah, it's always great to see those guys, like someone like a Dwayne Vermeulen, for instance. The fact that he pretty much went straight from playing into coaching. Brock Harris, the same. Like, it's great to see those guys who have put so much work into playing. Like, yeah, it's been fantastic to see the transition. Billy LaRue, I feel like he's got a role in coaching if he wants it. And Mornay Stain, another guy that has done very well. Talking about finding your niche. Was it George in the ASMR videos? No idea. I think he just likes the girl that does them. But I don't think we've got any more in the near future. He's changed the niche about 57 times on the entertainment channel. Any news on Antoine Dupont? As my heartthrob ready to play soon? I don't know if he's back for November as of yet, but I'd assume he wouldn't be a mile away, Antoine Dupont. He's been out since that Six Nations about second or so round, wasn't it? So, yeah, he should be getting close. Knowledge is power, says Clinton. Now currently 46 minutes through in this matchup. Benetton leading by 17. Showing a lot of power in this game. Although the scrum of the Lions, we haven't really seen any chance. No Dupont for the box confirmed. It's a shame. But then at the same time, I do think that physicality-wise, he could easily pick up another injury, couldn't he, if he was to play up against the box. So it's probably not a bad idea to have him out for that little bit longer and get him back to 100%. I also do think that the top 14 will have a little bit to say about it in terms of making sure that he doesn't get injured again, seeing as Toulouse will have a lot riding on him being back for the second half of the URC, for the second half of the top 14 season. Another penalty here, this time going the way of the Lions around the halfway line. And it looks like it's for a little bit of obstruction. And come on, Lions, kick back now, says Ruth. And thanks for you, says Ruth in there as well. Right, this is where the Lions cannot afford to take any sort of three-pointers. They have to go for the sevens. You need to put this ball into touch for Chris Smith. About 22 metres out from the line. And Dupont will return to the squad for training in November, says Jimbo. Okay, so they're going to get him back into the environment, just not playing. That is a mullet and a half, by the way, from Wershon. Quite a few mullets like that hanging around Australia, which is where Wershon has come from for this URC season. Line out throw here for the Lions. Maria sitting in a good position on the field. They need to turn it into points. They have just got that one try so far. It was Klaba Kanye who was able to score it for the Lions. They've dropped that ball. The back of the rolling maul. It just came out awkwardly. And that does really hurt this Lions side. The big chance on attack. First time inside of Benetton's 22 for this half. And the ball just goes down through the hands. I mean, another scrum here for Benetton. Currently sitting with around that 32 minutes left. Please keep encouraging him to do them, says Fleshin. Yeah, see, I don't know what our next ones are going to be. I think we got a couple more Gordon Ramsay type of ones, maybe, but, that quiz stage, it lasted for about 2 weeks, if that. We have to act like the Lions now, says Ruth. Well, it's going to be fed in by Wershon, who looks like he has covered from that slight knock that he took before. As for Lewis Lino, who took that shot to the back of the head, I don't think he is still out on the wing. We're about to find out. Oh, no, he is. So he did stay on rather than going off for an HIA. Now cutting inwards. Lewis Lino almost able to break the line. He's lost his shorts in the process. Back across the left-hand side. I see that Malakai Fekitoa has made his way back on. Same with Lorenzo Canoni. So all the HIAs have been passed so far. And how are you, says Juan Smith. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. I'm wide awake. Oh, great steal from JC Pretorius. That was diving in off the feet, though, by the Lions. They did all the hard work just to, again, throw it away with a stupid decision in the breakdown there. We see a JC Pretorius straight in there and then in off the feet. Unfortunately, and it happens to the best of us, Ruth. And also, we there are no drop balls again. Says Ruth there. Yeah, just diving through. It looks like now Benetton, they will kick this one towards the corner. Now, this one was 40 metres out from the line, so they did have a chance of adding that extra 3. We see some changes being made, including an Argentinian international, and Thomas Gasho will make his way on alongside Bernasconi and also Zalochi in that number 18 jersey. And some lineup mooning for the fans, says Wemma. And don't agree with the decision there. JC already had the ball, says the Rugby Guru. So it was just that player diving in afterwards, wasn't it? Onto Mendy, who was grounded. It's a tricky one, and it's just a shame because JC got it so smoothly. Before he fell off his feet, says the Rugby Guru. So yeah, I think that was for the diving in from, I want to say it was Murray, but I could be wrong. It might have been SJ Kutsia coming in on Mendy for that one. Oh, nice offload from Malakai Fekitoa, sitting 10 metres out from the try line, and the Lions get another steal, and it is none other than JC Pretorius again. And Lions clueless today, says Colin. Yeah, if they can get out of this game with a bonus point, being within 7, that would be, I would consider that quite a success for this Lions team. I missed that for a split second, says the Rugby Guru there. And also we have got the Aleka JC. He just gets straight back into his work. He wins a penalty, or at least would have won a penalty for his side about maybe a minute beforehand, and says, okay, that one didn't work. Right back over it. And while the Lions, what did I miss? Hope all is well. Says Jean there. Yeah, unfortunately the Lions, they have just lost this territory battle again throughout this match, and it's something that they struggle with up against Zebra. Now they've got 2 games around the corner, which they are going to be playing up against the Scarlets next week, and then Ulster the week after. And I do think that definitely that game up against Ulster, they have to win the territory battle. Up against the Scarlets at home for the Lions, you can probably get away with, well, the Scarlets will find their rhythm at some point though. Oh, nice run from Ruan Fenta, breaking through 2 tackles. Offload there to Nico Stain, who has to do the hurdling, and Clubber Kanye. That is a tackle off the ball on him by Thomas Garchos. A penalty advantage now in favour of the Lions. Kotsia face him backwards. I feel like if anyone deserves a try for the Lions, it's JC Pretorius. I would love to see a combo of Ruiz, Paul de Villiers and JC. That would be a dangerous trio. They're going back now for the penalty. Double blow of the whistle here, and it is actually going to be a yellow card for Thomas Garchot. He's only been on the field for approximately 1.5 minutes, and he will get himself yellow carded for tackling Clubber Kanye off the ball, seeing as he was that support runner. Don't know what the Lions are doing. This is not going so well. Drop balls everywhere, says Rudolph. Now what a player, JC Pretorius, in 45 minutes in Zebra. So unable to win the ball in Ospreys 22. Easy day for the Ospreys, says Jimbo. Yeah, pushing the player over in the build-up play for Thomas Garchot to get rid of the support. The thing is, they would have caught Clubber Kanye anyway. Don't get me wrong, the big man's got a little bit of pace, but not quite as much as he would have needed to be able to run from the 25 metres out. But it does give the Lions a great chance. They will be on attack. 27 minutes still on the clock and the 9.5 remaining of that yellow card. Murray. We need to throw it in 5 metres from the try line. It's a free kick for not straight. They're their own worst enemy here, the Lions. Every time they get a chance, they find a way of blowing it. The Lions need to pull finger. Horrible start to the season. Says shut in. Yeah, definitely with the fact that last year on the URC standings, or last season I should say, they were thereabouts around that top 8 spot. And it's these early games that you need to secure those points to be able to get into that position of the quarterfinals. And we're not seeing that from the Lions as of yet. Schoolboy errors, says Johan. It's now or never. Hamish Lyons, Elvis Presley, says Ruth. And yeah, they had such a good chance. Just made the mistake. Our foul play, Benetton, says Ruth. You see Sneyman making his way off. That is for Favretto. And also Lions getting drilled despite winning the poll, says Big Rig. Yeah, although to be fair, we've seen a couple underdogs win in the URC already. Stormers were underdogs in their first game up against Leinster. I have no idea how, because for me it was a 50-50 type of game. But yeah, underdogs can win. We saw it last week. Zebra, I think that game was 50-50 too, actually. I agree. Guru Schoolboy errors for sure. Silly stuff from the Lions today. Now this one's going to be kicked high from Wershon once again. Going forward for this one. Angelo Davis takes it nicely under the high ball. Can the Lions get this attack going now with the man advantage as well? Now Kieran Horn breaks through one tackle attempt. He's through another one. And able to bring him down was Bernasconi. Our Lions are too desperate. Slow it down, says Ruth. Now Reno Smith making some good ground to be able to cover that one. And he's kicked it out on the full. Mistake there for the Lions. Mistake there for Benetton. Gives the Lions a good attacking chance. However, they're trying to read comments at a full page. Keeps appearing. Not on top of it. What do you mean, Bruce? Like, as in, like, the poll keeps popping up? I'm so glad I'm a Bulls supporter. No wonder Lions is getting, or not getting a sponsor. Says Beren there. So how do you think the Bulls will go later on up against Ulster, Berend? I think it's going to be a great game. In fact, I think it could. I've mentioned about next weekend. I've got a couple games that I think could be match of the weekend. I think Bulls Ulster this weekend could definitely be right up there in terms of a phenomenal game. Awkward bouncing ball. Reno Smith is claiming inside of his 22. In fact, inside of his in-goal area. And it will now be the goal line dropout for Benetton. This can use up a few extra seconds. Still ahead by the 17. And also, they have got that bonus point. So for Benetton here, there's not a lot more that they can gain from this game other than points differential and also just stopping the Lions from moving forward. Bulls did well in Ireland last year, says Jimbo. And yeah, they are slight underdogs, but they've got a lot of Springboks in their side. So I would not be one bit surprised if they can get themselves the win, even as an underdog in their match. I hope the Bulls can do well tonight, says Colin. Now going off to the right. Chance here for the Lions. Kicked him on by Inca. Fun fake. And it will just go into touch. Bolster by 7. Says Johan. There's just a bit of a mistake there from Henko getting too much on it in terms of distance. And JC was well and truly running after it alongside, it looks like, Richard Creel. It is going to be the scrum or the 22 dropout here for Benetton. It looks like they're going to call for the scrum as it was just outside of that 22. We have got the other thing going on to a sports website. You're the only way I can see this game in Ireland, says Richard there. So it is greatly appreciated you being here for this game. Of course, 2 Irish teams going to be in action in the next 2 games. We are covering those ones on the channel too. Looks like a change is about to be made. Now we see Spagnolo making his way back on, and that is due to the Thomas Gauchot yellow. And Ulster will kick Bulls back, I think. I am a shark. Benetton playing well, says Jean. And also, hi Hamish, I just woke up, but I heard you now and then. When I rolled it over, says cool story. And Bulls by 3, says Colin. Easy to brand touring boxes, underdogs. First away game, long flight, says Jimbo. Yeah, and I do think that it's also that chemistry. Having those guys come back in sometimes can hurt a side. And then that second half's normally when they start to find their rhythm. So, you know, I think that Pollard, what tactic are we going to see from him up against this Ulster team? Are we going to see a kicking-orientated performance, or are we going to see the attack that we've seen from the Bulls throughout their first games of the URC season? Now off to the right. And so Jacob Umang, a nice short ball from Malakai Feketoa, finds Manoncello's hands. Quickly recycled by Wershon. Great stepping from Anashio. Mendy offloads there to Umang, who does knock it on. And this is disappointing to wake up to. Yeah, not quite the game from the Lions that they would have been after. And it does feel like at the moment, with the amount of errors that we're seeing, it's just a technicality for now. Like, everyone's waiting for that Lions comeback. But we're not seeing it just yet. I think so, your star mate, says Colin. Greatly appreciated. And yeah, we've got plenty more coming up. I had the Stormers to win due to the fact that they had played a Welsh side. But all three other games, I've got home teams to win. Such a difficult competition to win away from home. Absolutely. And I'm not sure what the exact percentages are, but it is definitely, if you're at home, you've got about that, I would say 65, 70% chance of winning, if not higher for certain sides. See, there are a few changes being made now for the Lions. And that is looking like a deflated front row right there. Clubber Kanye, the lone try scorer for the Lions at this point in time. Murray as well as SJ Kortsia, both making their way from the field. They are looking exhausted, those guys. Playing in about 25-degree heat, though, so you can probably understand why, although it is in the shade at the moment. Quite nice for the players. I agree with you, Guru. Cheers, Colin. Thomas Gauchot, he has still got another 4 minutes remaining before he is able to make his way back out onto the field. And Ospreys 14-0. And Zebra 50 minutes in. And game stuck between the 22. And a loss of their 9 has slowed the Ospreys. And Klabakania had a decent game. He did indeed, yeah. He emptied his gas tank, which is exactly what you want to see. But, yeah, it's interesting, the body language of the front row. Because they just look like, you wouldn't think that Klabakania had scored a try, but I think it's just the scoreboard that has made them feel like maybe they wanted to do more. Tell you what, that is someone we haven't seen too much of. As the man in the number 12 jersey for today. It was initially going to be Richard Creel, but the late change for the Lions. Cross kick attempted there, and it goes straight into the hands of Ezekiel. Like they've seen a few knock-ons in a row, so we are going back for the initial one now. Will be the Lions ball. And go the Lions, says unbiased. And also Benetton doing well. Other Lions added to their own downfall. Yeah, I think that Benetton, they just did enough work early. They put the pressure on the Lions, and then from there, the Lions have just made like a lot of little errors that if they had taken those out of the game, they could have been well and truly competitive for this match. Benetton's counter-attack, though, has been phenomenal throughout this one. Currently just the 3 minutes remaining of that Thomas Gauchot yellow card. So Spagnuolo still on. And we have seen one of the two Canonis in their way from the field. I also think Ruan Fente has been good with his carries. Yeah, see, it's tough being in that loose forward trio when JC's had the game he has. But Ruan Fente, he's had a couple really strong runs that have got the Lions on the front foot. And then it's just normally that phase or two afterwards that we then see that little bit of a mistake. I think that Oosthuizen has been relatively solid at 4 as well in terms of what he has done breakdown-wise. Ruan Fente is very good and consistent. Yeah, you know you're going to get a solid enough game from Ruan each time he's out there. We have got their Lions have to triple their score in 20 minutes. Don't think that's going to happen now. Says Bruce, I mean, stranger things have happened in the URC. We have seen massive comebacks before, and Sharks must win Leinster, because other than them, Bulls, Sharks, and maybe Munster, on a good day, no other teams will come near beating Leinster. Says Eric. Now that is going to be the advantage and the penalty at scrum time. I think it's got to be the first penalty we've actually had at scrum time throughout this game, or at least the one that I can think of. We have seen a free kick awarded to the Lions early on. The knee going down for Benetton. A chance to be able to kick this one towards the touchline for Kuan Horn again. He's had quite a few touches today, Kuan, but he hasn't turned them into a lot. And I feel like that's kind of the summary for a lot of this Lions side. Doing almost enough, but then not quite getting it right. My mum says hello. Thanks for the great commentary. Says cool story. So yeah, thank you very much to your mother. But now, getting ready to kick this one towards the touchline for Kuan Horn. Just the last quarter of this match to go, and last quarter of Thomas Gauchot's yellow card almost coming to a close. So throughout that 9-minute period, we haven't actually seen any points scored from the Lions here. And the thing is, off their bench, they've still got some good options. Nico Stain, he's had to play a majority of this game just due to that early injury of Morne van den Berg. We watched him very closely to find out what that injury is going to be and whether or not that leaves him out for November. Hopefully, he is going to be all right, though. 61 minutes through. Looks like another mistake from this Lions side as well. And it's now going to be the scrum feed for Benetton. Who else have they got? They got Sam Francis, Manuel Russ off of the bench as well. Yeah, just far too many errors from the Lions in this game. And I'm hoping that when they get to their home legs, then maybe that will start to iron it out a little bit. In terms of those mistakes going away. Lions must get Jake White to fix them. Maybe not a lot of trophies, but he will get them in the top 4, says Eric. And yeah, I think a lot of Lions supporters are just waiting for that big season. You know, the one where they get into that top 8 and they start to really make an impact in this competition. I think they are a strong enough side. And on paper, you know, they don't have those same Springboks like it has been said, but they do certainly have a lot of skill across their lineup. Lions weren't good today, says Colin. Yeah, they have struggled big time, unfortunately. We have got the Ospreys 14-0 up against Zebra. Yeah, so that game's not really moving either at this point in time. And in this contest, we have only seen the 3 points scored throughout the second half as well. So both sides and both games just at a standstill at the moment. The leaders keeping their comfortable lead over the opposition. It's slow, says Richard. Yeah, only 3 points across 2 games of rugby for the first 20 minutes of their second half. I will mention here in New Zealand for the URC TV app, we've actually got a black screen at the moment. Hopefully that will sort itself out. There we go. We have now got the scrum reset, but Thomas Gauchot, he will be making his way onto the field after his yellow card. He's actually had more time off the field in the bin than he's had on the field by quite a massive margin. The Lions do have good players, not their day-to-day, says Colin. Yeah, I feel like they've got those future Springbok stars, the likes of a Pretorius, a Henko van Wyk, Kjuan Horn, someone that a lot of people are looking at as a great option moving forward as well. But now ready to feed this ball in here for Benetton, sitting 25 metres from their own try line. Going off to Malakai Fekitoa. With Cash Van Rooyen, no trophies, no luck, no top 8. Probably the first coach been so average and still managed to keep his job. I think Stonehouse would have been a great addition for the Lions. Says the Rugby Guru, I hope the Sharks aren't boring. I think that even if the Sharks are losing by a big margin, they will still try very hard to get that game moving. It's not going to be easy though, that is for sure. And off to the left-hand side again, Kjuan Horn. Ready to kick this one back with a little chip in behind in the chase, and it's going to be a big knock-on from Benetton there. And Lions, come on, boys. Says Roof there, and aren't we all waiting for that big season? Says Fleshin. Yeah, chipping it in behind Malakai Fekitoa, losing that foot race, and then knocked on by Jacob Umanga. Okay, all clearly off the foot, actually, they have just said. The TMO has confirmed, so it will actually be the scrum feed for Benetton after the knock-on from Kjuan Horn. Hello, everyone visiting Bruce at the barn in Wellington this weekend. Says Andy there. Looks like now Wershon will make his way off, and Andy Uren making his way on. Lions, says DJ's channel. And it was that flying start of Benetton that made it hard for the Lions, says Ruth. Yeah, those early tries just hurt them. And, you know, even with those missed kicks from Jacob Umanga, the pressure was still there. And the fact that the bonus point is already secured from Benetton, they're probably, I would say, taking their foot off the gas a little bit. They aren't too worried about the fact that they're only leading by 17. In fact, a lot of sides would like to be leading by 17, I would think. But, yeah, it's just not really going anywhere for either side at the moment. But if Benetton can score once more, then they've well and truly secured this game. And also just increasing that points differential. That little bit more going off to the right-hand side. Malakai Fekitoa passes on the outside to Lewis. Lino was a poor pass. So it goes into the hands of the Lions after the knock-on. I was at Splashy Fen in 2005 when Ruan Pena got a special try and someone wanted to beat me up wearing a Wallabies jersey. Says cool story. Now running this one forward will be Henko van Wyk round the halfway line for the Lions. Kjuan Horn feeding the ball on to one of the replacement front rowers. I believe it would have been Mornay Brandon. So play on again. Nico Steyn across to Kjuan Horn. Holds onto the ball in one hand. Now passing it in behind. Mistake again from the Lions backs. Offloaded to JC Pretorius. If anyone, like I said earlier on, deserves a try in this game, it is that man for what he's been able to do all throughout the fixture. Nico Steyn goes to Chris Smith. Passes on the outside again. Around the halfway line. Short ball from Chris Smith. Finds Richard Creel. Another offload here. Kjuan Horn pops it up and then the ball's dropped by Angelo Davids. Lost ball. Andy Uren. He will sink the slipper into it. Looking for the 50-22, but the Lions do have cover back. They have again lost a good maybe 50 or 60 metres in that attack. The Lions looking to run it from their own 22. Chris Smith passes one more on. Richard Creel. Little pop on the inside. A good tackle made by Isikor and Ruan Pena. I thought he was pretty good looking. Says Ruth. Now thought about the offload there for the Lions, but wrestled down by Zolochi. Now Lions, Henko van Wyk. They've got numbers on the outside here if they can use them going into the wide channel. I believe it is JC Pretorius. Yes, it is trying to cut through their tackle attempt of Fekito. Went a little bit too high with his tackle there. 13 minutes remaining. Chris Smith again going off to the right-hand side here. Good tackle made from Thomas Garcho. Now Richard Creel. Again, a great low tackle made by Benetton. They are just making very limited mistakes when it comes to their defence. He goes staying back across. Finds Chris Smith. And there's no lack of attacking options here for the Lions, but the kicking behind maybe not quite the choice that they would have been after. And David's having a little bit of a fumble with that ball, trying to slap it back in field. And it is ruled as a knock-on. There's going to be another scrum for Benetton. Still the 12 minutes remaining. I sent you a message about the setup thing, Hamish. Says, I know, so yeah, I will have to check Instagram. I haven't actually checked it in the last little while. It's the Stormers game yesterday, says Bruce. As in, you missed it because you didn't watch it, or you missed it because we didn't do it? Because in the end, pretty one-sided affair for that Stormers side. And Ruth is something for the number 9. She does seem to love a halfback, that is for sure. And someone score for the Lions, please. Pretorius Offenta in the centre, says Ruth. Yeah, currently Ospreys versus Zebra. A 3-pointer has been taken by the Ospreys. So 58 minutes into their contest, it is 17-0. So far, across these two games, we have seen a 3-pointer for both sides. That is it. Now Benetton putting this ball in. And so the Ospreys game is quite far behind this one by the looks of it. Andy Uren gone off to the left-hand side. Chance here on the outside. Reyno Smith. They have still got that next pass. And Ashio Mendy trying to step around. Kjuan Horn gets around him too now. Pop pass on the inside. Very close to scoring for Monticello. He's going to be just the 1 metre short. Andy Uren, he wanted the short ball. Penalty, and this is going to be a yellow card against the Lions. It's going to be for cynical play. They'll make their way from the field now. Down to 14 for the final 11 minutes of this contest. He will be able to return right at the end. 62 minutes, says Jimbo. Did you commentate that game? I did not. I was coaching junior cricket. So ended up missing that one. It does mean that we will have to miss that game between... Who is it on the Saturday morning next week? It is Connacht versus Bulls. I think we'll have to miss that game too, due to the coaching. However, there's not much time left now. Time's ticking. What are the odds for Cardiff versus Connacht at the moment? It is $1.50 favourites Cardiff, $2.45 underdogs for Connacht. So one of the closer games. Although the Bulls, they are slightly closer in odds. They are $1.53 favourites compared to Ulster's $2.40. Reniad Jonker, the man who did receive that yellow card, Lions. Oh, I haven't to you lot, says Rhea. And about right, says Jimbo, and also, okay, explains why I didn't get a notification then, says Bruce. But yeah, we have got the 3 games back-to-back today. Leinster versus the Sharks is the next game that we are covering. I forgot there for a second who was playing up against Leinster. And then also Ulster versus the Bulls. That will be the next one that we cover on the channel as well. And Bulls and the Sharks must be fully awake. Cannot have a bad start in the overseas match. Says Eric, yeah, as soon as you drop 1 or 2 tries early on, it does just really does hurt you. Oh, Rando Smith thought about taking the quick throw, decides against it. And Hamish, when you are 40, 2025 won't seem so long ago for you. Says, good story. And no Bundy or Hansen yet for Connaught. And expect the Lions to do better. Very disappointing from the Lions. And yeah, it's just those errors. You know, the penalties against them after already winning the ball. Those drop balls as well have hurt them dearly. Just the 10 minutes remaining. This is one of the smoother running games of the URC we have had, I have to say. It did start at the same time as the matchup between Ospreys and Zebra, and it's about 8 minutes or probably about maybe 6 minutes ahead in that regard. Just the 10 minutes remaining. We've only had 1 TMO or 2 TMO involvements, one of them for just that knock on. And Hamish is more handsome with that fabulous mustache. Says, we're breaking the line again here. Mendy's got like 3 options on the inside. Goes to Lewis Liner, and that will be the try that finishes this game for Benetton. They are now running away with it well and truly, and they will try and get themselves that better points differential too as they head forward the competition. Yep, I should have at least sent a notification to me that I wouldn't be getting a notification, says Bruce, but what we will quickly do is this is the table, the way that it sits at the moment. So Benetton currently have that points differential of -9 going into this game. So with the fact that they will be leading by 24 here, in fact, it's actually, it will be 24 if this kick goes over, they will find themselves with their points differential now sitting a lot nicer in the overall standings. They will be sitting with that points differential of +15. And then anything more than here is an absolute bonus, but the kick has gone over from Umanga, making the score now 34-10. Starting to get very one-sided between these two sides. Hat-trick for Liner, says the rugby guru. Is that his 3rd or his 2nd? I think it's his 2nd in this. Oh, no, sorry. He did score on the 30th, didn't he? Yeah, hat-trick for Lewis Liner. Rando Smith, he wanted it badly too. He already has himself the early try in the contest. And Horn, says Ruth, Ospreys blow another 22 entry. Everyone's dropping the balls today. Nicely taken by Benetton. They've got themselves 8 minutes remaining, and the Lions also have got themselves a man disadvantage for that little bit longer. So I think Benetton, they've had a lot of great team tries throughout this contest where they've got about 3 or so guys who could have got that finish. Whereas the Lions, we just haven't seen that from them in this match. Oh, mistake there at the back from Chris Smith. Goes to Q1 Horn. Didn't cost them too much. Just a little bit of time lost. And Jane Paul Lions better luck next time unless it's against the Stormers. So next game for the Lions will be up against the Scarlets. And that is going to be a home game for the Lions. And then they have got Ulster at home as well. And that is a home game for the Lions, I should clarify, as the at-home side of things. Says Lions to Super Rugby. Cheers, says Cheslin. And Lions played 3, lost 5. That's how bad they are. Says cool story. Now Benetton again with the ball to the right-hand side. And again, they're just in no hurry. That's a hiding deluxe, says Rhea. Yeah, 24 points separating them. The Lions, their differential at the moment is taking quite a hit. What is wrong with the Lions? They lost all 3 games. You see, you'd argue that of the 3 games that they've lost, maybe they should have won probably one of them. I would say other than that, though, they have just been beaten by sides that have played better on the day, and the Lions have just had too many mistakes. And oof, Lions, says Stephanie there. Yeah, it hasn't been the game that they would have liked. And hopefully this isn't a sign of things to come for the Leinster Sharks game. We want to see a close game, although this is the type of margin that people are actually expecting for that contest. Nicely taken by Rando Smith. Just outside of his 22 as he runs it forward and knocks Nico staying down in the process. Only 6 minutes remaining on the clock now. 30 metres out from their own line, Benetton. Ionka means younger in English. Says Ruth. No one been told to use it here for Andy Uren. And when do Springboks play? I support the All Blacks. So the All Blacks and the Springboks both going to be in action for November. New Zealand's first game is up against the Irish in Chicago. I believe that is happening. I want to say it's the same weekend as South Africa do play up against the Japanese. So early November when that one will be taking place. Now going off to the right-hand side. Now Kieran Horn, Richard Creel, little grubber in behind, attempted by the number 14. It does find touch. It won't quite be the 50-22, but at least gives the Lions a little bit of territory. Looks like Reno Smith may have hurt himself. He has stayed down for a bit. Same with Richard Creel. Players starting to feel it out there due to the heat that they are playing with. Oh, I think it was Reno Smith actually may have hurt his ankle in the process of trying to control that ball. We have got the Hope Bulls and the Sharks. Do better than the Lions. Says Colin. Jacob Umunga, he is going to be done for the day. You're going to now see Enzo Avaka make his way on. I said about Thomas Albanese will be joining up a little bit later on. Oh, and I think that's going to be called as not straight from Benetton. Yes, so it is going to be the scrum now for the Lions. They are about 10 metres out from the line. This is their big chance. Score a try at the end of this game. They'll be happy enough. Do you think Pollard will ever play again? Absolutely. I think that Andre Pollard is not going anywhere in terms of the Springboks. Because I know you had a few concerns about now that Sasha and Marnie are both going well that they won't play him, but they will. Like, there is a time for Pollard. In fact, he will probably get just as many minutes as Marnie and Sasha leading up to that World Cup. Just about rotation. I almost sound the same. He got me there, says the Rugby Guru. Now, we need to feed the ball in for Nico Stain. Just talking about the guys that are still to come back for Benetton. They've got a good squad this year. Albanos, Federico Ruza, another player to keep an eye out for when he returns. Manuel Russ. Now it is, Terry. This is close for the Lions. They are 3 metres out for the try line. Can they get the crucial try? It will not get a bonus point for them, but it will at least cut down on that differential. We have got Christo has said hello. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well now. Oh, drop ball again. Paraguay are playing against Brazil today in the Men's Rugby World Cup qualifier. They are, aren't they? I forgot about that game. I think it's a 2-match series, isn't it? They play again next week as well. I'll have a quick look and see if Rugby Pass have it. As you'd assume that they would for a match like that. Oh, I went on wrong one. Hang on. Rugby Pass TV is what we're after. The Lions, quick tap taken, 3 metres out from the line, and they are over. Which number? It is number 18 in that case. So that will be Conrad van Vuren who manages to score it. As the Stormers the best team for this month, they've got to be up there in terms of the fact that they've got themselves 3 big wins. Munster also have done extremely well. Okay, it looks like they aren't actually covering it on Rugby Pass for that Paraguay and Brazil game. No, the box is the best team for October. And also, I'm still alive, says Robert V. Young Josh Kenny, the Ireland Sevens player, will make a debut off the bench today for Leinster. Interesting, says Jimbo. Now the Lions, they have been able to add the extra 2 as well, so making the score 34 points to 15. Oh no, hang on, it's hit the post, my apologies. And a drop kick attempted there by the Lions, and it missed. What is going on? The Lions and the Sharks are not good, doing good in the URC at the moment. Lions and the Sharks is not doing well. What's going on? Says Christo. It is a fantastic question. They have struggled big time, definitely away from home for those 2 sides. But once they start getting a few home games, I do think that's when we see them probably start to find their rhythm that little bit more. Now ready to kick this one up high here for Benetton. Waiting for that one, slapping it back. We were doing a watch along for that qualifier. Sadly, not due to the fact that it's not being shown here in New Zealand. I just looked on Rugby Pass TV. It's not there, and also it's not on Sky. So I'd have no way of actually being able to watch it, unfortunately. But hopefully on World Rugby's website, they'll have updates of what the score is, so we'll be able to keep you informed about it in that regard. But now going off to the left-hand side again here for Benetton. We're up to the last minute of the contest. 17-0 still for Ospreys in that one. Back across. Looking like a few tired players there. Lorenzo Canoni being one of them now. Pick and go from Benetton and Thomas Garchot. Hope the Sharks lose. So here's Bruce. And what games tomorrow in South Africa? So no games tomorrow, I don't believe, for the URC. That's going to be a knock-on and a penalty. And a yellow card, in fact, also. Right, that is going to be the yellow for Benetton. So both sides going to be playing with just the 14 for the final moments. They will, says the rugby guru. And just the knock-on there. Kick downfield, Lions. I wonder if they realise that they don't have a bonus point available here. Because the intent that was shown after scoring that last try seemed like they were rushing along to try and get into that better position. But at the same time, you just wonder whether or not maybe, 15 points, do they think that they've scored enough to get that bonus? Or is this just purely points differential that they are chasing now? I got the lights on the TV and I'm remodeling my kitchen. Says Robert V. That one's going to be overthrown, taken by Benetton. And it looks like they're going to have one last crack here at scoring another try rather than going for kicking that ball into touch. Andy Uren digging around to the breakdown for the possession. Now an Ashio Mendy, another nice step, getting around the defence, carves through them. And now Kjuan Horn managing to drag him down offload there. Massive knock on, but the penalty will go the way of Benetton just out from the goal line. Keller Furlong back for Leinster is a big plus, says Jimbo. We've got another double blow of the whistle, and I believe it's going to be potentially another yellow card for the Lions here. Right, they're going TMO. Just as the game seemed like it was about to be over, they're going to be checking to see whether or not Kjuan Horn did play that ball from the ground, and if he did, okay, that's the wrong one. They're showing the initial yellow card. Lions were very, very poor today, says Colin. Yeah, just making too many simple errors that has fully cost them. And this might be another one here. Kjuan Horn has stopped a try with the way that he was able to run through and make that tackle. Question is, did he do it legally? I got to keep the paint off the new floor, says Robert. We're going to see the replay now. Oh, okay, there was no release there from Kjuan Horn. So I believe this will end up being a yellow card. They're checking to see whether or not, you could argue there is a player back there for the Lions. So I don't think it will be ruled as a penalty try. You are my inspiration, says Mohadin. And there. Yeah, we've got plenty more hours on the channel coming up. And also, there will definitely be some food chat later on, which is always very inspirational, I would say. Streams make us very hungry. And will the bench be wide enough to see all those bums? Says Bruce. And Josh Van der Flair to captain Leinster for the first time. Says Jimbo. So yeah, yellow card for Kjuan Horn. He will not get to finish this match. Also, we have good there. Great winning home games, but not winning away from home is where it matters, says Tiger. And also, whose ball? It is going to be Benetton's ball, 5 metres out from the Lions line. They do have the option of just putting this ball into touch, but instead they are going to go for a scrum, try and get themselves one last try in this contest, which at the moment they are leading by 19 points. So one more try and converted would make it 26. Increasing that points differential very nicely. We'll put them up to plus 17 on the overall standings. Now scrum for Benetton. Holding strong at the moment. Now it's starting to move. And they've got themselves the penalty advantage. I'd like to see them go for the quick tap, but I think they will set for another scrum here, Benetton. Yep, that is the call again. For the scrum. Oh no, my apologies. Oh no, yep, no, never mind. Okay, Canoni was pointing for the corner, but I think they're going for the scrum. So I think he might have been pointing somewhere, but saying something different in that case. And Ospreys try 24-0, so finally breaking through for the Ospreys for another try in that contest. What minute are they up to there, Jimbo? I'd assume that if this game's up to 82, I would say they're probably up to about 70, I'd say 77, 78 minutes through in that contest. Now another scrum push here from Benetton, not really moving. They've been told to use it. So Andy Uren, he'll go off to the left-hand side. Reno Smith, great hands. Liner's going to have 4 tries. And that will close out the game with a nice finish there from Benetton. I believe it is the first time we've seen 4 tries in this season of the URC. But like I mentioned earlier on, they have been great team tries. He's been the recipient of that last pass and just runs it in. FYI, try not to have the Devils lettuce. Are you doing this stuff? Says Robert V. I assume you're talking about your chores and whatnot. And 78 minutes, says Jimbo there. So a great finish from Liner. Gets the 4th. He's just doing a little bit of counting on his hand, making sure that he had added them up correctly. Well done, Benetton, says Boulders and Steel. Now just this last kick of the day taking place here too. But the next game, it is going to be Leinster versus the Sharks. That one is starting up in 30 minutes time, or at least the streamers. The game's actually in 45 minutes. This has been one of the smoothest running games we have seen in the URC. In rugby in general for quite some time, even with 3 TMO involvements and 2 extra minutes of play, we've still been finished in 1 hour 45 minutes, which is phenomenally done by these two sides. And it's a great record victory, they've just said, for Benetton here. They have managed to win it 41 points to 15. And thanks again, Hamish, you're a star. See you as a Rugby Guru. Greatly appreciated, mate. And yeah, hopefully you do enjoy the rest of your holiday as well. I'm not sure whether or not we'll see you for those next streams, whether you are going to be busy doing something. But yeah, hopefully everything's doing well. And we'll have to have a catch up some stage. Just got a notification about Leinster versus Sharks. Someone called Kiwi Lads. There's Bruce. Yet we are only 30 minutes away from that next stream. I'll be ready to go for yet again another match. But 41-15, the end score in this contest. Benetton, fantastic win up against the Lions here. But nonetheless, thank you all very much for watching. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all for the next one.